but it's utwhitecollarcrimeregistry.com. And you load it up, and you can view the registry. And it's got, I think, pretty much what you would expect. It's got a little bit of a disclaimer here, is that the Attorney General's office does not guarantee the accuracy or completeness of the website.
Oh, great. So that means somebody's name could be on there, but they're not guaranteeing the accuracy of what's on there?
And
that's a problem.
And they point out that harassing offenders or their families on this registry is prohibited and may violate Utah criminal laws. So you click that you understand and you agree to the terms above, and you are taken to the White Collar Registry. And I'll tell you who's going to have a hard time is that person who pops up first. It's the very first in the A name, and I may as well not out this poor lady any more than she already is. But it includes a photo. She comes up first. It includes a photo. It includes her full name and qualifying convictions. She was convicted of communications fraud. It's got a birth date. It's got all the different aliases, a description, and it's got a factual summary. And it says this: submitted false applications and pregnancy tests to an adoption center and received funds intended for pregnancy-related expenses. So she defrauded an adoption center out of money.
Well, and this is an interesting database here in the state of Utah, because we have found through several studies that for whatever reason, Utahns, they get duped a lot more than other places, don't they?
You know, we do seem to, but and a lot of people have said this, well, Utahns are just too trusting. But you know what? I don't think that's the case. I think that we have this White Collar Crimes Registry now as a reaction to the terrible victimization that we've seen. And I don't think it's because we're too trusting. I think it's because people in our community are good at invoking faith and religion. And we see it often inappropriately in two ways.
So you're saying that it's the perpetrator who is,
I think the problem is
playing on those emotions.
Well, and it's in a very specific way. And I think, of course, the problem, the fault lies with the perpetrator every time. Because when you put someone into a religious context, you are putting them in a very vulnerable position, and they are placing themselves in a very vulnerable position, because faith is all about humility, right? It's all about putting yourself in a humble person before your beliefs, before a person or a set of values. You put yourself in a humble position that can make you vulnerable. You vulnerable. And so we see it in politics a lot too. Politicians will try and invoke a religious context to make you vulnerable. I think we see the same thing in business as well, that people will invoke a religious context to try and make you vulnerable to what they are trying to do. And it's abusive.
I don't know if that's, I think it has to do, I do think it has to do with trust. And I think it has to do with trust because somebody is the same religion you are. And you go to church with them and you get to know them. And we all know everybody at church is perfect. That's why they're there, because they have no faults or problems. That person then presents you with this cool new program, and you automatically have a level of trust with them only because they're going to church with you, not because you have any other reason to trust. And I think that plays into it as well. Maybe it's a combination of both.
But it's also worth pointing out that we don't just see here on this registry, we don't just see people who make the news for defrauding people of millions of dollars in a fake investment scheme, which is kind of the classic Utah
white collar
abusing people's faith to get their money routine. Here's one guy that's on here for voiding the cash till at his job in order to steal the money from the register.
Wow.
So
that's aggressive for a registry.
This basically kind of has everyone. I mean, white collar crime is much bigger than unscrupulous businessman invoking faith to steal your money.
Here's a question I want to ask. Text us at 57500. What other things do we need a registry for in the state of Utah?
Service animals.
57500. Text us and let us know.